order at 6:32 on January 26th. I will not necessarily do roll call, but if it's okay with everybody, I'll just go around and name everybody on my screen in order. Doug Maxellen is present. Tina LeBlanc is present. Tim Neville is present. John Ungary present. Donald Nunes, liaison, is present. Chris Cycli is present. Samantha D'Agostino is present. Melissa Everett is present. Bethany Olette is present. Gina Sakala is present. Did I miss anybody?
You missed Fred Gerber.
Oh, Fred. There you go. Fred, I don't know your last name.
Gerber.
You told me it. I know you just actually. What is it?
Gerber.
Gerber? All right. Frederick, do you like to be called Fred or Frederick?
Fred is fine, thank you.
Fred, okay. And then, all right, so Fred Gerber is also present, who we will introduce in a minute. He's the new Deputy Director of Operations. So Doug, Tina, Tim, John, Lori, Melissa, me, we have a quorum. So if we can go to, where is my, so we'll do approval of minutes of the last meeting, which was December 8th. If I could have a motion.
Motion.
First by Tina, seconded by Doug. Any questions on the minutes? Tina did send those out. All right,
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, any against? Perfect. Special guests, I put none, but I don't know, Donald, if you kind of want to just introduce Fred, and he can be our special guest tonight.
Yeah, so Tina, I did adjust that on the agenda that was posted for,
okay.
it does say, yeah, it does say Fred Gerber.
Perfect.
So Fred is going to be our new Deputy Director of Operations. He signed on, his first day was December 12th, so he was on week 6 of his tenure here. His primary operation is going to be sort of, again, more building envelope, looking at heating systems, roofing, and all that kind of stuff like that on the operations side, which I lacked the knowledge of. But I will let Fred talk to you folks about what he's done in the past, where he's been, and where he's going here. So I now happily pass it over to Fred.
How you guys doing? So I've been working in school facilities for about 10 years. I am a licensed plumber. I was the facilities director for a school system for the past few years. I did a lot of projects, upgrades to schools, carpet replacement, HVAC systems. My primary focus here is going to be operations, school facilities, energy usage, building envelope. I'm taking over the roofing project that we have going on. And I don't know, I guess that's about it. School kind of building assessment of some of these older buildings and trying to see what we need to do going forward for the town.
Yeah, so going forward, Gina, I'm going to happily pass the baton to Fred to take over as liaison for here, and also take over the rooferendum, as we all know it and love. So he'll be taking on that, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But that's the plan. I'll be hanging around for a few more meetings and stuff like that, just to make sure you folks don't beat him up too bad. I want him to stay. You know what I mean? So I want him to stay. Doug's got a mean streak sometimes, but I want him to stay. So that's the goal right now. So.
Perfect. Who's going to do my agenda sending out then?
That would be Fred in combination with my admin, Terry. So.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh, I'll let you know when that whole switch is going to happen, when I feel comfortable and you folks feel comfortable. So.
Perfect.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Fred?
Oh, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Yep. Good to have you.
Excited. And I'm sure Donald has already given you like the rundown of what we've done in the past, kind of what we are doing currently, some of the projects that we have going on, and maybe some future initiatives that we have planned, if any.
I know it's like an exciting time to be in Enfield and to learn of all your school facility,
Yeah,
experience. It's really great to have you.
All right, thanks.
I agree. All right, so welcome, Fred. Unfinished business. I have Eli Whitney and Hazardville on there, Chris and Sam. I don't know if there's any updates from the state on that. I know the update as far as the roof goes is they're done, but as far as the state portion.
Yeah, so the roofs are done. Everything is completed. We're working with Tom Hibbard, who I don't believe is on the call tonight. We're just working with him to button up some closeout stuff, the warranty, things like that. We don't have any invoices tonight. We didn't send any over. There will be one more invoice for the work that was just completed for that final change order for Eli Whitney, I believe it was. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's it. So really, no other update for tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, that was change order number 9. We got word about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that they were complete, but they didn't do I believe the westerly side of the building. So they went back, and I have not received any confirmation that change order 9, that part about half lapping up the wall there to prevent the leaks in the gym, was completed yet, but I haven't been out there either. So.
Okay. All right. I'll double check with that. I think
Chris,
Tom was
Chris,
talking about going out there as well, but I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know if he did or not.
Okay.
Chris, what does the retainage get held a year on these?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Gina, can I make just a quick suggestion? Should we introduce ourselves to Fred? So he knows who everybody is, because we're all kind of talking, but so he can put some names with faces.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure he has
So we can test him on it at the next joint facilities.
We're gonna have a bingo card for you to do. So yes, we'll go back to that. Just 1 second, Tina. That was a good suggestion. Chris, anything else from you and Sam then on Eli Whitney and Hazardville?
I just had one thing just for housekeeping purposes. So I know at the last, or maybe at the November meeting, change orders 8 and 9 for Hazardville were rejected, it looks like. I just wanted to have a motion in the minutes just documenting that, because we had them for all the other change orders. So I just want to make sure that everything is documented. I just couldn't find 8 or 9 in the minutes anywhere. I don't know why. So that's all I had.
So
I thought we did a motion, but
I thought you did as well.
I thought so too, but yeah, we went back and we couldn't find it. So
There was stuff for number 10 for Hazardville, but 8 and 9 just somehow got missed. I don't know.
What meeting date was that?
Based on my notes, it looks like it was November 8th. But I looked back at the November 8th minutes and I couldn't find anything, so.
Okay, so that was 9A, 9B, and for Eli, and number 8 for Hazardville, right? I think that's what I have in my notes.
Yeah, I think so. But all I need is a motion for PCO 8 and PCO 9 for Hazardville, that those are both rejected.
All right, we tabled it. That's what I had in my my notes. So you want a motion that
you rejected both of them, just so that it's documented.
No, I'm sorry. It says, I'm looking at Soaptown now, and we did a motion to reject on both of them. So
for number 10.
I have 7 and 8. Okay, that's fine. If we need to go back, if we need to do that now to clean that up, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
We do that. So it is for PCO change orders 8 and 9 for Hazardville, or just for Hazardville?
Just for Hazardville.
Okay, so can I get a motion to reject change orders for Hazardville Memorial that we discussed at our previous meeting, number 8 and 9, and that was for the overtime, right?
No,
Correct.
one was for the wash and sealing of the brick, and then another one was for the number 9 was for FRP at installation at the glass block windows.
Yeah, because we rejected one for overtime too, Gina.
Yeah, that was number 10. That was rejected, correct?
And you have that one.
Yeah, that was in the minutes. Somehow 8 and 9 just got missed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So can I get a motion to reject change orders 8 and 9 for Hazardville Memorial that were discussed at the last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion that we haven't already had? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Does that clean up what you need, Sam?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
so, Chris and Sam, I'm gonna leave that sort of item on our agenda because I know that we may have 1 or 2 more invoices that are gonna come in and you can kind of just update us about the state and any reimbursement or whatever. But you just let me know before the next meetings if you have anything else.
Yeah. Do you have a date for the next meeting?
Before you leave, you mean?
Just so I
Oh.
can plan to have the invoices for that meeting. That's all.
Mhm. Right. So we're normally the 2nd and the 4th Thursdays if we need both meetings. So that would be the 9th of February. or the
February
20
9th, right?
Or the 23rd. So it really depends on if we have anything pressing on if we need to do the 9th. So you guys may drive that bus. So if you have something pressing that needs to be approved, either on your side or Donald's side, then we may need to do the 9th. If not, we can push to the 23rd.
As
Okay.
of now, Gina, I have nothing that needs to be
Okay,
done.
so
right now.
we can do the 23rd, and that gives me a little bit of time to get the invoices all squared away. So that's perfect.
Okay. Does anybody, while we're at it, we were going a little out of order, but that's all right. Is anybody, while we're at it, have an issue with that? Going to the 23rd and just not doing the meeting on the 9th, unless for some reason we send out an email that we need it. Okay. Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, joint facilities, at 6 o'clock, and I appreciate everybody accommodating 6:30 tonight, on the 23rd. All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, Gina?
Yeah.
I have a question. It goes for Doug. Doug, you had asked a question earlier
Yeah.
before we got into this latest round here, but you said something about, is there like a 1-year retention? Something you
Retention,
said? But what is that, please?
Chris, you want me to explain or you can?
No, I can explain it. So we're holding 7% retainage on the total contract amount. Which we'll get, I guess we'll just pay it. It'll get released in a year. Basically when the 1-year warranty is up. All the work is under a 1-year warranty by Silktown. When that's up, then we'll pay it.
Okay. So now it makes sense to me, because if there is, say, they did the roofs, and let's say there's a leak in the roof,
They come
have
back
to
for
rep-
1 year.
they have to fix that, or they're never going to get their 7%.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But the roof warranty goes beyond the 1 year, but the first year is where the money's held.
The first year is covered, correct, and then there's a 20-year warranty on the roof.
But John, to help clear that up, so let's just say they don't decide to come back. All right. So let's say that they just say, we're done with infield. I don't like infield, and we're not going to come back and fix that leak over room, whatever, 1, 2, 3. We, in theory, take that money that we held back, hire somebody to go fix that with their money. That holds true for roads projects, for, again, any vertical construction and that stuff like that. So we hold that as surety that they will fix whatever it is until we're good with it, a final sign off a year from when the completion date was. If we sign off on it, the day that we sign off on it saying we're good, we give them back their money, then we own it for that,
Right.
for that kind of stuff.
Yep, I see it. It's used for 2 purposes. One, it's either leverage to inspire them to do the repairs, or if they choose not to hire somebody else to do it.
Right, with their money. So we're
Right,
not,
with their
we're
money,
not using,
exactly.
right. Right.
Got it.
That's
Thank you.
usually enough for having them to come back. Again, that's why we don't like releasing it ahead of time. Sometimes I'll ask for a reduction in retainage, and some of that just doesn't. I don't usually personally allow reduction in retainage, so because we need something to have them come back. There's got to be some incentive for them to come back.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you, Donald, and
Yep.
thank you, Doug.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back, and it was a good suggestion by Tina. Let's go. I don't know how you want to do this. Maybe I'll just call on you, because if that's all right with everybody. Fred, I'm Gina Sakalin, the deputy mayor, and I lead this wonderful joint facilities committee that has been in existence long before me. So I'm going to just go around my screen. Doug?
Yeah, I'm Doug Maxellen. I think I'm a lifetime Joint Facilities Committee member as a citizen. So, and my background's construction. So,
Perfect. Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina LeBlanc. I'm the chair of the Board of Education, and I am a Board of Education liaison for the Joint Facilities Committee.
Thank you. Tim?
Private citizen, along with Doug, and I think a lifetime member too.
I know it.
We've been here forever, but I was also a former board member for 8 years and a principal at JFK for 19 years.
Yes. It says Lori, you, but that is John Ungeier. John?
Okay. Hello, Fred. Welcome aboard. John Ungeier here. I serve with Tina on the Board of Education. I serve as minority leader for the board, and Tina as our chair.
You know Donald. So next, it's Bethany in the corner of my screen.
Hi, I'm Bethany Ouellette, and I am a resident representative on the committee, and I do lighting distribution during the day.
Perfect. Melissa?
I'm Melissa Everett. I fell into this committee when the Enfield Clean Energy Committee was folded in, basically. And so that's my interest and background. And I'm hoping to have a few minutes on the agenda later.
Perfect. Fred, have you met Chris Cycli or Samantha yet? You're on mute if you're talking.
I do not believe so.
Okay, Chris, if you're still here, you can just introduce yourself, and then Sam after.
I am, yeah. Chris Cycli, Construction Solutions Group. We're the owners rep for the roof projects, at least for the two that we did. We're not part of the referendum projects.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sam. I work with CSG as well. I'm a project manager with CSG, and like Chris said, we're the owners rep on the project.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Transfer station 5B under unfinished business update. I think we were going to discuss this at our last meeting. Donald, I don't know if you have some of the recent pictures or just want to give us an update on kind of where we are.
Yeah, let me show you a little. Let's
share the screen.
Stop. Yeah, I mean, here we see the truck. So this is just a little 20-second little video of how Bosco's Towing was able to get the building off of the trailer and the like, which arrived, and I'm just going to play it for you. It's kind of cool how it all happened, and it didn't take 20 seconds, by the way. It took a lot longer. And see how simple it is? Look at that. It's all done. So, but that's just a little something how we got there. The picture that I did send out, I mean, this is its final unwrapped landing spot. Again, this is the scale, the outbound scale. This would be the inbound scale, which would be displaced from the trailer. And this one that's here when we finish with IT and everything. When IT gets powered up, we're going to get the scale going. Then we're going to move this one over. Just another view of again the outbound scale coming in and out, and how that's going to land. We have ramps on order. We have platforms that are still on order that are coming from the contractor. And again, another view for the outbound. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, there we go. And there's some inside views. It's again kind of prison chic, but it is heated, it is cooled. It does have a bathroom.
Huge improvement from what they had.
I would say this is an incredible improvement from what they had, yes.
Right.
And especially I don't know why I'm lagging so much here. Hold on. Now my pictures aren't showing up. Maybe just waiting for that to get over the airwaves here. I don't know. That works. I don't know. I did send you the pictures, folks. I'm sorry for.
Yeah, I got them in front of me. I'm looking at them.
Yeah, maybe someone else can share them. Maybe someone else can.
No, they were really good pictures. Yeah, they were excellent pictures.
Yeah, hold on. Let me try this again. It is just not cooperating.
Most important is the indoor plumbing and the air conditioning.
Yes, I would love it if somebody could do that. Hold on, let me try to.
Let me see if I can share my.
If I knew how to share it, I would. I'm on the screen, but.
Upper right-hand corner, Doug.
Oh, I'm on my. Oh, wait, I'm on my. Oh. Okay.
Hold on a sec.
Let me try that. Oh, here we go.
It says I'm sharing my screen. Let's see if I can share it. Can you guys see this?
No, not yet.
No, you're blank.
Huh. Well then. Apparently I don't know how to share on this thing either. That's great.
Well, I was sharing until it all blocked out because it's not even loading on my computer screen right now. That's really weird.
Now I don't know how to unshare.
Oh, there we go.
All right, how about I try this? Hold on a second, folks. All right. So these again, did everybody see those now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it now.
Okay. So again, like you said, Doug, it is absolutely market improvement. Again with proper lightings, and hey, look, we actually have running water and running bathroom for the folks that work up there. So they are thrilled with that portion of it. It is very comfortable inside. Again, it's nothing like the old style one that they have. It's kind of, again, it is, like I said, prison chic, but again, for what we're using it for and for durability, I think it's going to last a lifetime. At least our lifetimes. This is underneath the building. It is all fully insulated in the crawl space below. And that is how it looks from there. And
Donna, what was the crawl space for? Just for the utilities instead of a slab?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So it just would have been so difficult to kind of run because we have so much electrical that's coming from this tired and battered electrical socket here. Yeah. So what we have coming in is electrical. We have cable for the to run the scale, and we also have the generator that's coming in here too that does all the powering. So we have a lot more stuff come in, and also the water was brought in that way as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did the military donate us a generator?
Back about 2 years ago. Chief Fox, Police Chief Fox we had it in with some folks down in, I don't remember the southern state, but they said they had a couple generators. So what I did was I put in for them, and we were actually successful in getting 2 of those generators. One of them had 410 hours on them, another one had 627. Wow. And by military standards, those are junk, and those they don't get given away. After 400 hours. So those are international ones. So they run 3-phase, single phase, whatever you switch them to. So it worked out absolutely perfectly. We stripped it off of the trailer, if you will. So they both came on trailers, but we stripped this one off the trailer, put it on there, so we don't have to pay for a generator. So
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's going to get a paint job once once we're all in place like that. But at least now we have everything there. Unless we like that kind of look, we may keep the camo on it. So
yeah,
If you haven't been up there lately, which I wish I really could, I'm really bummed out that I can't get those other pics on there. Because I wanted to show you that we did have the slide gate has been installed. Let me try this. Let me try one more thing, and I promise you after that, if I can't get it, I'm not doing it anymore. There we go. All right. So the fencing all the way around the entire property. This was where the paper dumpsters and the cardboard dumpsters were on the right. That is now all fenced in. This is the power gate that's there. They have to run multiple electrical lines to it. So that's all set and wired and ready to go with controllers back to the building. This is more of the area just to the left. They have been working there. It's just there's a generator. So we're doing. We will get this painted, but I promise. This is that runs a fence line all the way down through and around. So that's all done. And the only need that we have right now is we're working actively with IT to get Cox up there, and we're pulling every single string that we can to get Cox to hurry up and kind of give us the cable, because we're kind of hogtied to that. IT cannot get the computers running and the scaler running without cable. So without cable, we can't do the scale to get the outbound scale going. So without the outbound scale, we can't take down the inbound scale. So it all hinges basically on Cox Communication. So we're working actively with them to try to pull that off right now.
Good, looks good.
Doug, when do you think it'll be fully operational and up and running?
Cox gave us a 2 to 4 week lead time to go run the proper cabling up there. So I would figure a few months after that. I'm hoping in the spring that we should be done. The site work I do not believe is going to take very long to do, because again, the contractor is quite skilled at that. The hardest thing is going to be getting all of that communication between the scales and the software. That's going to be the hardest part of getting that, and also getting calibrated and all that, so we can have that operational and shut down that first one. That's going to be the most difficult. So,
thank you.
That's all I have.
Great. Looks good, Donald.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think a bonus is that it's much safer on top of it all for the people who have to work there. I mean, first and foremost, it's safer, and then they have a more comfortable working arrangement because they have to deal with the elements. So,
yeah, they will again. What
is important?
Yeah, and again, what you don't see yet, again, because we don't have the other scale up, is that there's going to be platforms out there where again the staff's going to come out, check the trucks, check your trailers, all that, things like that. So it kind of it still looks rough now, but again, all that stuff has to be fabricated. There's not really a time to put that in right now without that big scale being in first, so that it's outfitted correctly. But that is in the works, it is ordered, and we are working towards that. So
I'm pretty sure my husband will be seeing it in the spring. You're on mute, Gina.
Any other questions on the transfer station or comments? Perfect. Tina, I know you just got in, and for the record, Bob is here. He just got done with the meeting that I was at before. And Bob, you missed it. So Fred Gerber, who is up there in the corner, he's our new Deputy Director of Operations. Fred, this is our mayor.
Hey, Fred.
Bob Crisati, if
Welcome.
you have not met
How you doing?
him.
Doing well.
Also on the joint facilities as a liaison for the council.
Good. Fred, I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot of you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so new business. 6A is a referendum update. I know that Donald and I met with Ellen regarding this. He's going to share a screen so we can do kind of like a little update on where we are, because I know it's been about a year since the referendum passed. And we all know since the referendum passed, there has been changes because there was another referendum for the EPD. And so if you guys can all see the screen he's sharing right now.
Yes.
Okay. So if you look, year 2022 was slated to be the Enfield Police Department roof. Obviously, with a referendum of the Public Safety Academy passing a couple of months ago, that was on hold to see if that referendum would pass. So that is not going to be happening under this referendum. It is going to be rolled and merged into, I think, that roof will obviously be part of the public safety complex budget. So that was our first on the town side as far as buildings go that should have started, but we knew that there was a possibility that we wouldn't need to do that in this referendum given the public safety referendum.
Yeah, we talked, I talked with John Wilcox, and the money that was allocated from this, we'll be able to allocate that towards the whole public safety complex. I didn't want to go ahead and do this and have a complete or similar or some really weird roof design. Let it all be incorporated in case there has to be adjustments. There's no reason to go ahead and do that if we're going to tear off a quarter of it to match into the new construction. I don't know what that even looks like right now, so it was better off doing that. We will also take the $22,000 that was allocated for that to go towards the public safety complex. So we should be moving over $322,000 towards that effort to pay for that part of the roof of it.
Perfect. So just going down this list, next, if you see Alcorn year 2023, this is the sheet that we used when we were picking architects. So Russell and Dawson is who this committee selected to do that. They have been engaged to do the architectural work and hoping late summer. Am I missing anything on that, Donald?
No, they'll be doing the design work now for hopefully a summer kind of install. They also when you folks see this, we wrote this RFP for the design services and architectural services to include everything, soup to nuts, the site investigation, the bid docs, any and all grant applications that are needed, meetings with you folks, and project management of the installation and the like. So everything was kind of a soup to nuts thing with each, with the municipal side and also with the school side.
Right. We'll get to the school side slide in a minute.
Yep.
So Alcorn would be the next on our list, and hopefully we're looking at a late summer. Tim, I know that you were asking about that.
Right.
And then if you look 2025, that would have been the annex. So the annex design is pretty massive and complicated. So they're looking at sort of architectural stuff in 2024, bid and construction 2025, because there are so many issues with that building. So that'll be 2024, 2025 timeframe. Does anybody have any questions on this slide before we move to the school side? Tim?
Just on the annex, it's that several years ago, or over the course of several years, we were talking about different uses of it and stuff like that. I don't know that, and it was all over the ballpark in terms of adding, rearranging some of the places inside and outside in terms of the walls, windows, or whatever. Has that gone to the wayside right now and on hold, or because we're going to do the roof, of which there are lots of issues up there? Are we going to look at doing anything? Are we going to incorporate that into whatever future plans we have for the annex itself?
So I can speak generally, not really specifically on that per se. I know that as part of the master plan that the joint facilities submitted and presented to the council and the council approved, I think that was kind of like a mixed use building. They were talking, some office building, shared office space, maybe some still community things for the town as well. So I don't know if it's going to coincide with any work that we would do inside of the building. There might be talk in the near future about rearranging some of the school and or town buildings as well. I don't really know specifics yet, and I think that's going to be conversations for the town and the school to have. I don't know if it will include Fermi or the annex at all, but right now, I think they're really just focusing on that roof design, interior work. I don't know if that's going to coincide with the roof, but obviously, if we're going to tear down the second story or the third story and some of it for some reason, we wouldn't want to do the roof at the same time. So I think one that might have been part of the reason the annex has been pushed and it was not recent, sort of to give us time to figure out what are we going to do. But I mean, Bob will tell you that that building is chock full of, it's used 24/7.
Yeah. Right now, all of us knows that the recreation department is moved there. You have the alternative high school that is there. Yep. We have the police department that utilizes it for training purposes. The building is used a lot.
I think Buzz Robotics is there, and the Enfield High wrestling room.
Buzz Robotics is there. You have the wrestling room. You have the pool being used by the high school teams, and then some of the other open swim with the recreation department. You have Special Olympics program. Allied Stars are
PLA.
The building is used. You have adult education that's used during the morning hours, afternoon, and night. There are classes, and let me tell you, the ESL classes are jamming. There's a lot of people in that building, in and out. And I do have to say that we have also, and Donald knows this, that we've been clearing out unused, whether it's furniture or just things that haven't been used over the last 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, maybe 20 years. We're getting rid of it. We're cleaning up so that the buildings look presentable on all floors. But the building is used and it's occupied. The heating system there needs to be improved. There's no question about it. Is there interior work needed to be done? Yes, we all know that. But this building is used. It's a multi-purpose building, and it's a great town asset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we will be still using this. Yes.
So that might not have answered your question, Tim, but I think at this point in time, it's kind of used to its capacity.
I have no issue at all with the use of it. I think it's a valuable asset, and I think we should make the most of it. I've seen a lot of the use of it. The only reason I'm bringing it up is that several years ago, we had people who had put together presentations, visual presentations of some proposed changes if we were going to do this, and they were substantial outside the building. Okay. Yeah. Whether it be windows, walls, or whether make it look more modern if you're going to entice companies to come in and lease or utilize that space. My only concern is that we may want to take a look and see, is that still even being thought of? If not, we can go ahead with the roof. If it is being thought of, we should incorporate it and even delay the roof until we kind of solidify what we're going to do. But I have no issues at all about the value or the use of the annex.
Yeah, we are in those talks, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good discussion that we can talk about maybe in this facility committee later on. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of that master plan was done pre-COVID or during COVID. And I think sort of the landscape of office buildings may have changed a little since then. So as of right now, we're scheduled to do that school roof or the annex roof in 2025. So we'll start, we'll start dealing with Alcorn sooner than that.
Thank you.
And to the mayor's, if I could, to the mayor's point, and to Tim's point, having it in 25 is going to help us as well to give Fred some time to really understand what sort of infrastructure we really need up there, because I know we have some rooftop units and some other things up there that may or may not need replacing. That'll give us ample time to do so ahead of this, and to understand, again, if we're going to have a full build out of this building, it might behoove us to, again, to upgrade these things, and that'll give us that extra little bit of time to do so. So we're not kind of scrambling. We're doing it after the fact. You got to tear roof sections off to go install whatever it is, either an HVAC or something like that. So that is kind of the plan, and that's why we kind of pushed it off in conjunction with all that kind of stuff to 2025. So
yeah, absolutely. Good point.
Thank you, Donald. Great point.
Any other questions about this slide before we move on? All right, perfect. Next, please. So the next slide we're going to show you, so this is the roof-a-rendum portion for the schools. This was the one we determined as a group that we employed Silver Petroselli. So you'll see 24 for Parkman, 24 for Crandall, and 25 for the Stowe Early Learning Academy. And then
25 for Enfield Street School.
25 Enfield Street School. So I know that there were some questions about, are these going to be happening? Are they happening soon or now? And Donald can sort of fill in the holes if I miss something. But one, we're looking at a 2024 for the earliest for the roof for any of these schools. Obviously, we're going to try to do them when the kids are not occupying them. So those would be sort of summertime, maybe springtime. And what Donald was trying to do is, in order to get the roof all at a certain age where you can do them at one time instead of phasing them like we did Eli and Hazardville, he needed to wait for them to hit a specific age. Right? Did I say that right, Donald?
Spot on, Gina. What we decided to do, again, this was just you may have seen this slide. This was from the consolidated PowerPoint that was given for all 4 referenda presentation before before this, the one in November, 2 Novembers ago. And this was, again, a proposed schedule that we did Parkman in one phase just to get stuff because it was such bad condition and the like. But there was another sections of Parkman and Stowe and Enfield Street that weren't 20 years old yet, so we didn't qualify for the reimbursement. So by moving it around, so we took this basic proposed schedule, moved it around, and we came up with this schedule that will allow all of these to be done in one fell swoop instead of doing it before like we did, the northeast, northwest, and south section, then come back a year later, do another section. We're not doing that now. We're doing the entirety of one roof at that time. So in 24, we'll be going to do the entirety of Parkman and the entirety of Crandall. And in 25, we'll do the entirety of Stowe and Enfield Street. So that's the reason why what you're seeing on the screen here does not match with the schedule. But again, this was just a proposed schedule, and it was just better off. And John Wilcox was the spearhead of that, and we were able to work it out. And this is how we came up with that schedule now to do all that.
Yes. So we have Silver and Petroselli that we engaged for these roofs, but obviously they will start their sort of process a little later than Russell as far as what they're doing on Alcorn. So I'm going to go to see if there's any comments or questions. I don't know, Tina, if you want to start.
Sure. So I have a question. So I noticed that you're talking about the reimbursement and us not starting the roofs until 2024. So when we start the roofs, is that when we would apply for the reimbursement?
All that stuff will be handled then, when we start taking care of, again, that portion of it.
Right. And the reason why I'm asking is now that we're an Alliance district, I'm understanding that the school buildings are potentially we know how the state has been handling willy-nilly Alliance districts now, since we're new, we should be getting a higher rate of reimbursement if we're in an Alliance district and we're upgrading our schools.
Yeah, that'd That'd be fantastic. I did have a long conversation with Bill Silver from Silver Petrocelli about it. Maybe about a month, maybe about 6 weeks ago, before his retirement. And he was well versed in all this stuff like that. I have every faith and confidence in them that they'll, based upon what he was talking about, they'll be able to take care of all that information, and that's what they do there. So.
Oh, for sure. And I think
Yep.
that puts us in a better position because we'd get a higher reimbursement rate.
That'd be
than
wonderful too.
What we
And,
had
you know,
thought we might. Mr. Ungar, you can chime in if you want, but if you sat through superintendent's, what was it, John? Hour and 45-minute budget presentation on Tuesday evening. Superintendent Drezek talked about how full our schools are. Our schools are maxed out. He pointed out one school of Henry Barnard, which used to hold the Board of Ed offices. We are working out of closets. There is literally no space in our school buildings. So we need to start working as a group and looking at a long-term plan to how we want to handle the fact that our buildings are old and that our buildings are full. And we saw enrollment go up when the high school completed, and we believe that we're going to see the enrollment go up even more with the completion of JFK. Not to mention the magnet schools have seemed to lost their shine and fanciness, and we are finding more and more kids staying in the district. So that's something we as a group are going to be hearing about and looking down the road for to see how it's going to be affecting the referendum. I don't know, John, if you have any comments on that.
No, I think you accurately articulated exactly the needs that we're going to have and see in the future here, and obviously, clearly, we have to prepare for that. So that's the reality of it. So these are not new buildings, and we got to seriously take a look at how much is it going to take to fix and upgrade these buildings versus any other potential alternatives that we can think of. But I'd like to, so with that seed planted, I'd like to go back and dovetail onto the first part of what Tina said with regard to the grants. It's my understanding that before we can even apply for a grant, that I think the town council has to appoint perhaps this committee as a building committee for each of the schools. And
Right,
that
and-
we,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just want to, this is the last point too, is that we have to have that we be appointed as a building committee, and that we have to have an architect plan in place before we can apply for these grants.
So the architect is who we've employed, Silver Petrocelli,
Mm-hmm.
for all of these roofs. And we do have the town manager's office looking in to see if we do have to be named the building committee or not. I know it's something that may have been done in the past, but they're looking in to see if that needs to happen.
But it would have to be a joint effort with the Board of Education and the town, because the utilization of buildings is really going to be a partnership for a long-term solution.
Yeah. John, did you have anything else?
No, thank you,
No.
Tina, that was it.
All right. I see your hand up, Bethany, but I just want to make one comment that obviously, these roofs that we have mapped out, given what Tina and really John is saying, is that this might still be a little more fluid. We may move, dates around. We may move and take roofs off the list. We'll see, I guess, is the ultimate.
And if the reimbursement rate is higher
high.
than we anticipated, that would be a way for the town to funnel money into different roof projects.
Yeah, the contingency,
Correct.
other roofs. Perfect. Bethany, go ahead.
I was just curious, we have some schools not on the list because we were handling them previously through our own process that weren't part of the referendum, like Henry Barnard. What is and there were sections not done because they weren't of age. What is the age of those additions, like the gym and those small sections that we didn't re-roof? Is that something that could be part of the contingency if there were higher reimbursement?
If you're going through, if you're going to use referendum money, this was on the screen. You should see it. It's a continuation list. So this is what the voters approved as a continuation list. If those other I know those other sections were relatively new compared to our terms, you know, I know it's only got to be 12 or 10 or 12 years ago. This would be, we could do some of these things again with referendum money. If we cannot do anything with that, with those other smaller sections like over the gym and all that at Barnard right now, unless we go a different route through capital or we do have another referendum.
Okay.
Right. So what you're saying, just want to make sure everybody's clear, is that continuation list or contingency list, what I called it. Those are the only other roofs that can be done with referendum funds. If we do any other portions of, let's say, Henry Barnard that weren't done, we'd have to do that out of CIP.
You're correct, June.
Okay, perfect. Bethany, did you have any other questions? I just want to make sure your question was answered.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just one other question, Gina. This is good information, and could we be provided with these slides?
Yeah, so I think these were provided several meetings, like long meetings ago. But yeah, we'll have these sent out again. Absolutely. So you guys have them. Yeah. Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, just for my own knowledge, does the referendum money have a end date or a sunset date that it has to be used by? Because obviously, the longer we wait on projects, the cost of projects go up. So
no, Doug, I finished up 20 roads 2020. We just last year. I mean, so it can last. I mean, 2015. So we just got done with that in 21 or 22, even closing out all the books like that. There is no sunset date on that.
Okay. Yeah. That was it, Gina.
Thank you. Any other questions on this? Because I know some people were getting questions or asking questions. So I just want to make sure everybody had sort of an update on where we stand. It's not that nothing's happening. Things have been happening. We've actually voted as a committee on some architects and things like that as well. So awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. 6B, clean energy. I had talked to Melissa. She kind of wanted to have the floor for a couple of minutes at least on this. So go right ahead. Take it away, Melissa. Oh, you're on mute, Melissa.
Okay.
I've docked your time 30 seconds already.
Okay, pressure. I wanted to raise a question. I think the answer to the question is Fred, or at least part of the answer to the question is Fred. The question is, in the foreseeable future, does this committee or does the town consider adopting renewable energy to be a priority, adopting energy storage, looking at higher efficiency HVAC opportunities like heat pumps, looking at the various tech innovations that are coming into viability? I mean, you know, district geothermal is going to be a few years, but it's going to be happening. We put in the plan of conservation and development that we wanted to do more of this stuff. We had done an Enfield energy strategy in 2014 that was mainly intended to be a framework for setting up for the energy saving performance contract, but it said we want to maximize our use of renewable energy. I think when I hear the amount of near-term stuff from crowded schools to roof decisions that has to happen, I feel kind of, you know, on the one hand out of touch, but on the other hand, wishing that this conversation had a home. And, you know, we've talked at times that perhaps it's more of a staff exploration. We've talked at times that setting some policy guidance might be worth it for the council to do. So all of this is beyond the minute and a half that I have taken on this busy agenda. But I wanted to see if each of you could take 15 seconds and say something really punchy and brilliant about what I just said. Or tee it up for a future meeting.
I mean, I can speak for, I mean, I know we've talked about this before. I think that trying to figure out some renewable energy, clean energy options makes sense with this committee. And I think that trying to, you know, talk to the town on their side, on what they can do to help. I don't know if it is something that Donald and Fred are going to look into in the future as well. Go ahead, Tim.
I know that in the past, having served on a few building committees here, that we've always looked at that very, very intently and looked at the various forms. I know at Enfield High School, we talked about just about every kind of thing from solar to whatever, you know, and the costs weren't there, or the method wasn't fully matured enough to do it. It would be too expensive to put it in at that point. I think we did it at JFK as well. So I think it may be a little bit. I think we have to have a discussion, but it may be a little bit premature to try to lock anything in the very, very near future. I think we should keep doing it.
Clearly, there is a learning curve. Clearly, there is some decision making about where the responsibility and authority even lives. Clearly, Fred has been on the job for, was it 6 weeks or 12 weeks? And his plate is probably pretty darn full. But I think there are so many towns that have got so much of the stuff that if there is any interest in an exploration at some point, I could put together some tours, some short presentations, some updates on what the economics are for some of these various things and where the expertise can be accessed. You know, if there's interest. I mean, if you all just said, come back in 6 months, Melissa, because our heads are going to explode, I would totally understand.
Tim, were you done?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So I have a comment, please.
Wait 1 second. Yep, 1 second, John. Bethany had her hand up. And then I'll go to you, okay?
I guess the question that, Melissa had brought up that I have is, where does that responsibility lie for the exploration? And
right.
How do we come to that resolution? Do you, Gina, go to the town manager and say, because the last time I know we had brought up things, the town staff had basically taken over and explored our suggestion, which is great. It's just, is that what they still want us to continue to do? Or are we just talking about it and it's not where they want us to add to their workload because they probably may have too much? So I guess that's really my question, like Melissa, is how do we get to
where does it belong?
Doing what?
Yeah. Where does it belong?
Where does it belong? And
it may be.
Go ahead. That I don't know that I have necessarily the answer to. I think, having the liaisons from DPW are really helpful in your types of, in like the clean energy question, because it has a lot to do with what we're dealing with as far as the windows, the roofs, the buildings. So this would be a natural place for it. I don't know most of what the clean energy things, like when you talk about geothermal tech innovations and stuff, I'm not going to lie, it's above my pay grade. So that's why we need the experts. I am happy to have that in this committee because it might sound like a natural place for it. I don't know. We can bring it to the DPW, we can bring it to the town manager, we can bring it to the town council. But as far as first steps, innovations, things like that, it's going to be hard for me to say because most of it is over my head. I'm very honest about that.
One thing
I know what I don't know, Melissa.
If you put me actually in a legal situation, I would be in that same place. But I think the first thing is that there are certain things where it's just energy efficiency considerations, where it's playing staff's role to pay attention, and you're doing it and you're motivated and you don't need permission. I think it might be interesting to consider some kind of a briefing with some folks from other towns who have been successful with some of these kinds of tech that could be available, planned far enough in advance that we kind of slip it in when we're not too crunched, and maybe make it available to council and board of ed and staff, and just do something communal where everybody gets to climb the learning curve and think about it.
Yeah.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
This is definitely, speaking of energy efficiency, this is definitely part of the things that I'm planning on looking into while I'm here. I am planning on doing somewhat of a, for lack of a better term, an audit of the HVAC systems at all the schools. And I think that would kind of be the first place to start, is really to see what we're working with. It's hard to really make a determination of what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, what improvements can be made when we need to kind of establish a baseline of what we're doing, how the energy systems are working, what the current standards are, what the current settings are. It really start from the beginning and work our way up from there. So while I can't really give you a definitive answer now, it is something that is on my plate. And then long term, I'd say hopefully within the next year, I'll be able to kind of establish a plan of attack for what we're looking at.
Thank you, Fred. So let me go to John, because I said I'd go to you, and then Bob is right here with me.
So quickly, Melissa, you answered part of my question there when you talked about energy efficiency considerations. That's fine. But I was just thinking, if let's say planning and zoning and the town council or whoever approved, say, a solar farm in Enfield, knowing that power generation would be fed into the grid and the schools and so forth would feed off of that, could credit be realized that way for the town?
Well, we need to look into that in a much more granular way, because I think that what happened with the Jarmock farm was that I'm not that familiar with the process in Connecticut, but I think it actually ended up being off-taken by some other town. Which is like not what we want.
You see, a lot of these solar projects that get passed by the siting council, by the state of Connecticut, even though they might be in town, as Melissa just stated, a lot of that energy is farmed out. It could be going out to Massachusetts and other areas, and not necessarily Enfield. Do we know what's going to be happening with that energy systems? The state of Connecticut determines that. They don't come to the town and say, the Raffia Road project, this energy is going to be used for the town of Enfield. I wish that they would come to the table and say that, but no, they give us a letter and say, okay, this is what's taking place. It's almost like after the fact. Mm-hmm. But that's how that is generated. Getting back to Melissa on energy efficiency and Fred, it's great to hear, that we're going to be looking into that. And Donald with DPW. I know that that's been a topic of concern. Of course, we want to get into clean energy efficiency, HVAC systems, anything to help lower costs, and be more efficient. So are we looking at that? Absolutely. I go and attend CROG meetings monthly. Sometimes they're twice a month, and there's all different committees. And it's been a topic of conversations. Are some towns doing this? Yes. Are there gold standard towns? Yes. Are there silver standard towns? Yes. Bronze medal standard? Yes. I think Enfield, with our contract that we had with Honeywell, with the lighting, that was an example of, are we being a little more efficient with our lighting? And that's just one small example. Yeah. Can we do better? Yes. Are we going to be looking into it? And Fred, thank you for that initiative and what you just stated here. But yes, we are as a town looking at that. Very serious.
Great. I mean, I'd be willing, if it's helpful, to just be in whatever loops there may be of who's delving into what, and be able to share what I might know about what other towns are doing, and where there are knowledgeable people who would want to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should use the expertise of people on this committee that would help in anything like that. Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate
Thank
having
you.
2 minutes on that.
Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, just kind of backing up on a history a little bit, the clean energy was, and Melissa, you can correct me as I go along, or Tim, was really a separate committee. And then, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago or so, it seemed to be kind of fading apart, and it was then rolled into the facilities committee. Now going back, being on the high school building committee and everything, it really all comes down to money. And I remember going through the high school when we initially started the design and we wanted all these ideas and stuff. Solar was there, geothermal we were talking about and everything. But as the reality of the budget came around and the other things that were more important, it got cut out. Because along with the solar at the high school, there were structural modifications and there was a lot of other stuff that went with it. And the same with JFK. It always seems to take the back seat, and eventually it gets cut out on these building projects. There's just not enough money to do it. I think if any of this is going to go forward on some of these new construction projects, there almost ought to be like a mandate from council that you need it, or or X number of dollars has to be spent on it, or something like that. Because otherwise, it's going to get pushed out as the budget of that project moves forward, and we've seen it in the past.
And I would just say that a lot of times the first costs, there might be additional first costs, but there's savings long term. And so the council might instruct, everyone proposing budget items to do more of a life cycle analysis and to consider renewable energy. I mean, was this meeting supposed to end at 7:30? Because I wanted to get a little pulse check, but I didn't want to totally take it over.
So I will say, I generally like to keep them to an hour if I can, just because I know I'm cognizant of everybody's time and I want to be mindful. But Doug, you make a good point. And Melissa, there is a drop-down menu for for the public safety facility committee members. If you want to apply for that, you can be the resident clean energy and renewable energy on that. But because that does make sense, right? Just like a lot of cars, they're phasing out gasoline cars. It kind of makes sense, like on the same path, that if we're going to do new construction, we should look more and more every project at renewable energy. And I think that does make sense.
Yeah, but we look at it, but once the dollars start getting applied to the construction costs, there's other things that take preference, and that gets cut. It has on those last two projects.
I think we might need some guidance on what are the best current methods of doing a life cycle assessment of the cost, so that people don't just get sticker shock at the initial cost.
Yeah, I realize that. I realize that how that would work and everything, but the reality of it is when you got an architect on board and you got a building committee and you're trying to put together a building, and you're now whittling down dollars and using it for different things as you move along for the infrastructure and everything of that building, the energy component of it, like solar or geothermal, always just seems to get pushed to the end, and there's never dollars for it. So that's why I'm saying the only way in reality it's going to happen on a new building, say the police station, is say, okay, we need to spend X number of dollars on this, and it's mandated. Otherwise, it's.
But I don't think the council doesn't have authority over a committee, a building committee like the JFK committee or what they have. I mean, you've been on it, right? There's liaisons. We can liaise. We can give suggestions just like any other committee member, but we're not voting. We can suggest what we would like, and we maybe can give them parameters, but your chair, your vice chair, and those members, they're the ones that really determine. But I'm not arguing with the point because it makes sense, Doug, right? Like we should really say, let's look more at renewable energy. Like it makes sense. And maybe the public safety complex can sort of be our tester on that. I'm not opposed to that. That's something that we can discuss on council.
Yeah, I will delve further, and I will also ask around for the sort of poster child towns that have an awful lot. Kind of what have been their strategies? Are there formal policies? Usually it's just somebody really smart who works with the architects and works with all of the stakeholders to finagle it. But
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other comments or questions? All right, so we've already determined our next meeting date. For those who were not here in the very beginning, we're going to do Thursday, the 23rd of February. So we're going to go a month from this. So we're not going to do the second week. And if I don't have any other comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
By Bob, seconded
Second.
by
Second.
Tim or John. Pick
Go
one,
ahead.
Tina. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time and your energy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.